Welcome to the Sound of Ideas from IdeaStream Public Media. I'm Stephanie Haney. Thank you very much for being with us. And I'm happy to say, for the first time live here in 2026, Happy New Year, everyone. You know, my New Year's resolution was not to get sick this year, so I am officially failing at that to get things started. But very happy to be back. Thank you to Drew Mazias and Anna Huntsman for filling in for the first couple of days back in our live shows to start the new year. And with the new year underway comes a very familiar tradition, as I just mentioned, making resolutions. Common goals are to read more, eat healthier foods, start exercising, or save more money. But for some, the idea of resolutions has lost its appeal altogether, abandoned amid concerns that goal setting can slip into self-criticism and maybe do more harm than good for our mental health. So why are resolutions so hard to keep? Is it the timing of kicking things off at the start of the new year? Is it the way we go about measuring success? Is making a plan and sticking to it simply harder than we expect it to be? Today, we will explore those questions with a diverse group of experts who have set ambitious goals and kept them eventually. We'll hear their views on New Year's resolutions and learn their approaches to goal setting in ways that actually last past the first week of January. So with me in studio today, we have Dr. Adam Borland, a clinical psychologist at Cleveland Clinic, who specializes in behavioral health, talk therapy with adults. Hi, Dr. Borland. Good to see you.
Good morning.
We also have Katie Spots with us, an endurance athlete and author. She is the youngest person to row solo across the Atlantic Ocean and the first to swim the entirety of the Allegheny River. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. We have Damiana Willis with us, executive director and founder of Queen I Am. Her organization connects mentors with school-aged girls focusing on college and career readiness and health and wellness. Damiana, thanks for being here.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
We have friend of the show here with us, Ricky Smith. He is founder of the nonprofit organization Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere and also runs the Playhouse Square food stand, Something Good Social Kitchen. Ricky, great to see you.
Good to be here.
And we have Lauren Marks, a high-performance and breathwork life coach from Canton in Stark County. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Steph.
Now, if you have thoughts on New Year's resolutions, we would love to hear them. We want to know if you've set goals, how that's going so far for you, if you have. If you hate resolutions, we want to hear all of it. You can give us a call. The number to do that is 866-578-0903. You can also send us an email at soi@ideastream.org. And you can send us a message on Instagram at The Sound of Ideas. Now, to kick things off, we posted over the holidays on Instagram, and we asked for your New Year's resolutions. So here's one that we got from a response from our social media post on Instagram. Again, that account is The Sound of Ideas, and we got it from Katie. Katie says her goal for 2026 is, I will travel more. Katie, we hope you have lots of travels in 2026 and beyond. So now we'll start with our panel, and I will start with Dr. Borland. We'll make our way around to Lauren, Damiana, Ricky, and Katie. I'll ask, what are your general thoughts on New Year's resolutions, and have you made one for the year, Dr. Borland?
I think New Year's resolutions can be great. I think it's about how we approach them that is really key. Because oftentimes we set New Year's resolutions that maybe are pretty lofty, and we need to recognize that it's a process, and therefore it's going to take time. It's not going to occur overnight. We need to be supportive of ourselves and patient, and that flows into my New Year's resolution, which is to be more patient with myself, to be prioritize emotional presence. We're living in some pretty stressful times, and I want to really try and focus on today.
Okay, all right. Lauren, how about you?
I agree with a lot of what Adam has already said. I do mine a little bit differently, so I don't really label it as a New Year's resolution. And I would say right now mine is to be present as I'm moving into the new year and taking my time to evaluate what my goals are. And I'm sure we'll get into a little later how I do mine specifically. But as far as, I think we have to be more specific on around what it is. Like the traveler that mentioned it. It's like, how can we go a little bit deeper on where do you want to travel? What does it look like? How are you going to get yourself in the position to go on these trips? That's where I would start.
Okay, so generally you favor a more specific approach.
Yes.
Okay. Damiana, your thoughts on resolutions and if you've made one this year.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's important to give yourself grace and to be kind to yourself, because sometimes we set these expectations or these resolutions and then we don't get to them and then we're like, oh man, I got to start over. I got to wait for 2027. So it's very important to create resolutions that's tangible and actually have steps for you to do it. So for me, it would definitely be rest more, relax more, find time and more self-care and doing things. I know that's a common one that people say, but actually being intentional about doing the things that I like to do for myself and creating that time. So just creating the time that it's important for you to do it, but really tangible the steps to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ricky, what do you think?
Yeah, mine are more internal, not shared with many people, but we will share today. Last year's theme, lost a sister to cancer. So being more intentional in my thinking of not complaining was last year. So whether it's specific or things coming out of that, this year is more gratitude. It sounds funny, but washing my car, folding clothes, things that I'm just very appreciative of that I might take for granted. So it's like, hey, there's people, that wake up that are praying for the things you take for granted, but taking the time to really appreciate every little thing. So if it's making up a bed and being not the concept of making the bed itself, but appreciating the bed that I'm making. So sticking with that theme and just trying to be a better person with that in mind. And hopefully it gets me through the year.
Along that note of bed making, there's a person that I follow on social media, and she said she makes her bed every morning so that she has accomplished something every single day. And that hit for me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you can start your
it's just
day
the
knowing
concept for
that.
me is like, I'm appreciative of this bed. And we might not think that way, but by me making the bed, it's going, I'm grateful to be able to wake up to make a bed. So it's keeping with that same gratitude and things stuff like that. Washing dishes might sound crazy, but I'm grateful for dishes to have or a roof to be able to have those dishes. So it's day 6, day 7. Still grateful for a lot of things, oil changes, stuff like that I don't do well at. But just saying that I'm grateful for the things that I have to be able to complain about the things that I don't want to do.
Okay. Katie, how about you? Thoughts on resolutions, and if you've made one this year, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, life moves fast, and I think New Year's is an amazing opportunity just to pause. And goals are something that I'm constantly working on and working towards. But I think New Year's is a great opportunity just to say, am I living the life that I imagined for myself? And it's very easy to get in that mindset of, striving, reaching for more. I also think New Year's is an opportunity to look back and say, what worked well? What did I do that I'm proud of? And if we don't take moments for that, then even if we accomplish our goals, we aren't actually enjoying or appreciating them. But for me, my goals are very laser focused on endurance. My background is doing endurance challenges with the greater purpose of helping people get clean water. So this upcoming year, I will be focusing on rowing across the Pacific. So that will be a 10,000-mile row for 8 months. So yeah, that will be going into 2027 as well.
So you're a fan of long-term goals.
Of course. Yeah. You could say that.
8 months, that's a time. I want to get more into that in just a minute. I will share my New Year's resolution for the year. It's something that I was thinking about making at the beginning of the year, and then I got some encouragement from friends on social media who said, you can do that, Stephanie. So my goal for the year is to be able to do a pull-up, which is something I've never been able to do. Now, I'm told from my friends on social media that this is something I'll be able to accomplish in a matter of weeks.
Oh, I could help you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I've got
For
some
sure.
coaches here.
Yeah.
Good. I appreciate that very much. So I am saying it here today. I have made the New Year's resolution. I will do a pull-up, and we will be in touch about it, Katie,
Okay.
for sure. Now, Katie, I want to go back to you when we're talking about literal long-term personal growth. Now, you did already row the Atlantic Ocean, so now you've got this goal to row the Pacific Ocean. So how can a resolution lead to that long-term growth? Is that something that you think about when you're setting these goals for yourself?
Well, the thing about setting these goals, it's like, okay, so you reach it, so what? So what is that it makes you feel more capable of doing more. And it's through all those baby steps. I mean, I wouldn't have that kind of goal if I didn't set goals like that 20 years ago, if I didn't once set a goal to do my first pull-up. So I think it's really about a lifestyle that embraces growth. And I mean, there's a lot more to it. Every time you say you want something, you are also saying no to something else. So I think we all wake up wanting the best. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things outside of our control that are difficult. It's, social media and being pulled, and we're all working full-time, kids, family obligations. So I think it's the biggest thing we could do for ourselves, the biggest favor is, I want to do this thing, I aspire for this thing, what can I do to make it easier for myself? And kind of eliminating the barriers between you and that thing. So yeah, everything can become habit. So we already have the habits. They're already there. We're just changing and replacing them. So yes, I mean, everything I'm bringing to the table today is the results of all these goals, these habits, these beliefs that, resolutions are a part of. They don't have to be, but big picture, it's really just being intentional about your life.
That's a good point. As we start the new year and we think about new beginnings, we don't come to the new year as a completely new person. We are the person we have been our entire life leading up into this point. Thank you for making that point for us, Katie. Lauren, I want to ask you, when we're talking about setting New Year's resolutions, how is that different from goals or intentions for you in your practice as a life coach set throughout the year?
Yes. Well, intentions to me are kind of like the road getting to the goal. It's the identity, it's the energy, and then the goal is like the destination that we want to get to. So it's, who do I have to be to fulfill this goal? If you're taking your pull-ups, for instance, it's who is the person that does the pull-up? And then it's kind of adapting to the energy of being that person ahead of time and embodying it. So I kind of map that out for my clients, and I'll ask them, if you want to be able to do a pull-up, what do you think that person does every day? How are they practicing? How are they performing? How are they fueling their body to be able to do that, to get stronger?
That's a good question. I'll be thinking about that. What does a person who does
Yeah.
pull-ups do with their life? I started with a protein shake today, so
There
I
you
feel
go.
like that's what someone who does pull-ups would do. They might have a protein shake for breakfast. And I'll be honest, it's been quite a few weeks since I started with a protein shake for breakfast. Let's go to an email now from Mary. Mary writes in and says, I think it's important to be self-critical, not harsh, but reflective. We should all hold ourselves to high expectations and try to be better. My resolution is to stay the course in terms of making my kids do things they don't want to do. And she references limiting screen time, getting outside, and that kind of thing. Mary, thank you very much for sharing that perspective with us. So I think this is a good point to turn the conversation to mistakes and slip-ups when it comes to New Year's resolutions. Today is January 7th. We are a week in. And the second Friday in January has been dubbed Quitter's Day, because that's when many people toss up their hands and say, you know what, this New Year's resolution thing, maybe not for me. That's if you even made one in the first place. So, Dr. Borland, I'll start with you. What is the biggest mistake people make when setting New Year's resolutions?
I think the biggest problem is that no one is harder on us than we are on ourselves. And therefore, we might set resolutions and goals that are pretty lofty. And if we start to feel as though maybe I'm not living up to that expectation, then it's very easy to come down on ourselves. And that can spiral very quickly. That's what I work on a lot of times with my patients, right? How can you be kinder to yourself the way that you would treat, encourage, support a loved one? Because it's a pretty good chance that you're not speaking to yourself and encouraging yourself the same way. So especially this time of year, really recognizing this is what I want to work towards, and there are going to be bumps in the road, and that's the reality. And how do I recover and keep moving forward?
Is there anything particular? Is there some trick that you can tell us that can make a resolution more realistic rather than so overwhelming, so that we can avoid that point where we get to that spot where we're not speaking kindly to ourselves because we've kind of set ourselves up a little bit better in the first place?
Yeah, I think it's really about taking that big overarching goal and breaking it down into small, realistic steps and recognizing each one of those and celebrating those, because that's going to build the momentum towards reaching that bigger goal.
Damiana, let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization and how it works?
Sure. So it's called Queen I Am. We are a girl empowerment organization. We provide quality year-round programming for girls, safe spaces where girls have access to things that help them see their potential who they have, that it's okay to be who they are, but learning who they are along the process. So we put various interactive and engaging things in front of them for them to see, to spark confidence and curiosity and to build character. And so for girls to see that I can be, who am I? Who do I want to be? But how do I have all these things in front of me to help me cultivate and what that looks like? And so we can see girls all year round, every day, all day. But just like the Dr. Boiler said, just providing that spaces where people can be gracious to themselves and they can be kind, because they're facing so many different things, social media, so many different factors that are be like this way, be that way. But who do you want to be? But what does it look like to be myself? What are some things that I know that I'm good at, that I don't even know that I'm good at, that we can pull out? And so our girls come to our space. They have access to hip hop dance, culinary, robotics, Lego lead, financial literacy. Our goal is to really help young queens see their value, who they are, and where they're working towards to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it like with you when you're working with the young girls and when you see them set a goal for themselves and then they hit a barrier and they kind of slip up and maybe get down on themselves? How do you help them work past that?
So teaching the importance of resiliency, because their little people say their goal may be they wanted to make the cheer team and they didn't get an opportunity to make the cheer team, so now they don't think they can try again next year. But I tell them all the time, when you give up, you already lost. You got to keep going. You got to figure out, well, what can I do better next time so I can do better? And also not being so hard on themselves that they think it's them. It just wasn't your time. Teaching them about time and alignment. When it's meant for you to have something, you have access to it. And what's for you is for you. And I think about the mistake question that you asked, is that a lot of times they slip up with comparing themselves. And like, well, she's doing that, Miss Yana, or they're doing this. But what are you doing? How do you run your own race? And how do you stay clear of distractions, but staying forth to your goal? And so teaching the girl, I tell them my favorite world is like, the world is not going to end, y'all. You're going to be okay. You got this. You're going to be okay. And so they're looking like, okay, well, I didn't get through it, but Ms. Yana was right. The road didn't end. And you're going to try again and again and again. But giving them steps and them spaces also, too, around other young girls for them to see, I also, too, didn't do it. Or I may fail at this as well. So keeping it at a space where meeting them where they are, but giving them expectations where I see where you can go. I see your value. I see your potential. How can I help you get there? And keep going even when it doesn't look like it's clear to get to that vision or that goal.
Ricky, you and I have talked many times about the origin of random acts of kindness everywhere, but not everyone knows that story, and it definitely had some slip-ups and some interesting beginnings along the way. So can you just share a little bit of that with us?
As quickly as I can. Just down and out. Was in a space where I didn't expect to be. Was at the time in LA trying to find myself, was living in my car. My car gets repossessed, so I joked that they took not only my house, they took my automobile as well. Had $20 left in my name as a kind of a screw you to the universe. Took my last $20 and bought pizza for homeless people with their permission. Told their story online, and the next day found out I had a TV writing gig. So I made a promise to the universe, God, whatever you believe in, that I wouldn't use the same energy to make money, making people laugh. I didn't use the same energy to help people. The origins of Rake, that was 13 years ago, nationwide ad campaign, McDonald's, Drew Barrymore show, ESPN, countless interviews with yourself. But just using...
Thanks for including me in that list, by the way.
Of course, but just showing people that you don't have to be famous, rich, have these crazy ideas, to simply be kind. I was speaking this morning earlier with the panel that I think so many times we forget about compliments. That simply a compliment can go so much further. You never know what people are going through. And, it's very easy to see people who are down and out, or see people who are crippled or handicapped and say, hey, they need something. But we all are going through something. Like every single one of us are going through something. So with that in mind, kindness is needed more now than ever, and we all can receive it as well as give it. So that's the gist of Rake, and just in general of everything that I try to do and try to put out in the world is try to leave it better than I found it.
Mm. And Katie, for you, you were talking about how you have accomplished these great goals, but it doesn't go from doing that first pull-up to rowing the Atlantic Ocean. Can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you faced when you were training right here in Cleveland to complete that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be setbacks. One of my biggest setbacks when working towards rowing across the Atlantic was getting in an accident on Lake Erie, and people would be asking me, if I can't even row on Lake Erie, what makes me think that I can row across the Atlantic? So that was a easy place. My boat's all destroyed right now. Maybe it's a sign that I shouldn't be doing this, but I think those are those turning points of, do I really want this? And growth doesn't exist when things are easy, right? So the whole point is reaching those moments and then continuing on. And it's that strength that I think inevitably was able to get me across the Atlantic, knowing that all of those things that you went through beforehand, those were like mini tests for the ultimate test. So that's again why it's so important to celebrate those wins. And you know, I'll say, even if you don't reach your goal, sometimes I set goals that are so ridiculous and I don't reach them. And guess what? I'm okay with that, because where would I have been if I didn't have that goal? Probably on the couch. So this goal got me this far right now. And this is so much closer than I've ever been. So you know, no one's exempt from, no one's exempt from setbacks. And so once you accept that that's just part of the process, it makes you take it so much less personally. Like, this is just a universal thing that happens. Setbacks occur. Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm a failure. It's not because I'm doomed. It's because this is just the process. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of take that in stride, and you can take that as, this is actually a sign that I'm reaching the edge. There's that real growth could happen here. So
we have a panel here, obviously, of very accomplished people who have set goals and got to them with these steps along the way. We've seen the mistakes and we've seen the slip-ups. You've all shared some of them that have happened to you quite poignantly. Lauren, why do you think it is that people have trouble sticking to New Year's resolutions or sticking to goals in general, when we do all know that mistakes can happen along the way, but why does it still seem so hard?
I think it often feels hard because when the goal is too vague, you don't have the plan in place that helps you actually take the steps every single day to get closer to the goal. So, for instance, if you're like, I want to work out more this year, well, that's not going to be very helpful when you don't have, like, okay, what time of day am I going to work out? Am I going to go to the gym? Am I going to work out at my house? Do I have an accountability buddy to help me? Because I also don't, motivation is not always going to be there. I'm sure as she's practicing her rowing, she doesn't wake up just like so motivated to go and get out there. We have to put the discipline in place, the plan in place, and accountability and the connection between mentorship or something to help you when you're in those hard moments.
Preparing yourself for that moment when you know it's going to feel tough. Katie, I know you have thoughts on motivation. Can you share what you think about that?
Oh gosh, so overrated. I feel like we have this toolbox of things available to us, and we keep going to willpower, to determination, to motivation, when those aren't even the strongest ones. I mean, how motivated were you to brush your teeth this morning? Probably not, because you were relying on habit. And I know that's different than running a marathon and doing a pull-up, but at one point, maybe that was difficult, as when you first learned these things. So I think, what's better? Habits? What's better? Building an environment that supports your goals. So I think the less you lean on motivation, the easier it becomes. I think for me, I've run, cycled, swam long distances, and thousands of miles, and I usually don't feel motivated until I begin. So until I start, until I'm at the gym, so knowing that the motivation shows up when you do, it just puts so much, again, less pressure on ourselves. And for me, fitness is easier, or almost, it's joyful for me, because fitness, you can find, there's so many forms of fitness. Finding something that you enjoy, I mean, you can move your body. It's kickboxing, yoga, pickleball, basketball, CrossFit. So I think finding something you enjoy is also a very big part of, you don't really need to feel motivated when you genuinely enjoy it. You don't need to feel motivated when your friends are waiting for you and when you've already created that habit. So there's so many other things that are are available to us that we don't need to wake up thinking our lives is a Nike commercial. We can just have our bag and it's already prepared and our breakfast is ready and we signed up for the class and we texted their friend, hey, meet me there. And I like doing it. So yeah, I think you can enjoy doing hard things.
Without having that motivation kick in the beginning. Thank you for sharing that, Katie. I want to remind people that we're talking about New Year's resolutions. Maybe you hate them. Maybe you love them. We want to hear about it. You can give us a call. The number is 866-578-0903. You can also send us an email at soi@ideastream.org. I'll read a couple emails now that we've received from viewers. Audrey in Cleveland says, every year I make a food-related resolution inspired by Dan Pashman and the podcast The Sporkful. It ends up being a delicious and positive resolution. This year I resolved to use my rice cooker more creatively. My favorite past resolutions are eat more olives and explore more hot sauces. Audrey reminds us that resolutions do not have to be punitive. Thank you for that reminder, Audrey. We also got an email in from Stephen. Stephen suggests make Christmas your resolution day. Then when you hit that time of resistance, everyone around you will be talking about resolutions and you might get a mental boost to push you through. Interesting take there from Stephen. Thank you for that advice. We'll get ready to take a quick break here, but as we do, here's another New Year's resolution that was shared with us on Instagram. Our account there is @thesoundofideas. Allison wants to remember to take one thing at a time and stay present. Allison, we wish you lots of luck with that resolution. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation about New Year's resolutions and long-term goal setting. This is The Sound of Ideas. I'm Stephanie Haney. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Sound of Ideas. We have another New Year's resolution to share with you from our Instagram account @thesoundofideas as we talk about New Year's resolutions today. This resolution comes from Diana. Diana resolves to be more present, put down the phone, and become more spiritual. Diana, best of luck with that. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Hopefully we can give you some tips today that will make you feel more resolute in that goal that you have for yourself. We've also got an email in here from David from Cleveland Heights. David says, I have moved toward year-round resolutions and goals. However, many years ago when my daughter was a toddler, I gave myself a goal to be able to do pull-ups and chin-ups. That sounds familiar. David says, I had to start with struggling to do one, and now I'm up to anywhere between 8 and 12 on any given day. Now I feel like if I needed to pull myself up for some safety reason, I can do it. David, congratulations on that. And that gives me some inspiration. And speaking of inspiration, we have a great panel here with us today to talk about helping us achieve those New Year's resolutions, if that's something that we want to do. So just to remind people, maybe you're just joining us, we have Dr. Adam Borland with us, a clinical psychologist with the Cleveland Clinic. We have Lauren Marks, a life coach and breathwork specialist here from Canton and Stark County. We have Damiana Willis, the executive director and founder of Queen I Am. We have Ricky Smith, the founder of Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere and the operator of the Something Good Social Kitchen right here in downtown Cleveland in Playhouse Square. And we have Katie Spots, an endurance athlete who has accomplished many things and is working on her next project of rowing the Pacific Ocean solo. So great panel here. And I'll just share a little bit of inspiration that I got for my goal, my resolution this year of being able to do a pull-up. It came from something I saw on social media. I saw a woman who had created a 1-minute song that would help her hang, I think the term is dead hang, from a pull-up bar so that she would build that strength in her arms so that she would be able to eventually do a pull-up. And it really inspired me, and I thought, oh, you know what, that would be great. And I can just play that little video, and I'll know that I'll do it for a minute. Of course, she had to work up to that. So when we talk about things that get us that inspiration, maybe not the motivation, but maybe the inspiration to kind of set these goals, I want to talk about this now. So I'll open this up to the panel. Does anyone on the panel have thoughts about vision boards in terms of setting a goal or success? Anyone here have experience with that they'd like to share? I see Ricky over there making a facial expression. What do you think about vision boards? Do you have any thoughts?
If they work for people, I think, and I think a lot of times we get our inspiration, motivation, whatever it may be, from others, and not knowing what works best for us, right? So, like, if people are online at TikTok or these websites or social media outlets, and they're like, "Oh, I'll do this because they did that," it might not work for you, right? It might not be what's best for you. So I smirk because I went to one years ago. A bunch of friends did vision boards, and I was like, I don't know where these magazines are, and I was other people's motivation, but it's like for me, it's like that didn't work for me. So it's whatever it makes sense for you, and whatever. No one knows you better than you, and no one knows your flaws, no one knows your strengths, your weaknesses, all that stuff than you. So it's leaning into being completely open and honest with yourself to say, hey, this will work, this won't work, this is what I need. But visually, maybe somebody needs to see it every day. Yeah.
Okay. Lauren, I saw your face kind of lit up a little bit about vision boards. What are you thinking?
I have definitely done them in the past, and it is great to see the inspiration when you have it on the wall for things you maybe want to move towards. But it goes back to kind of what I said earlier of having the plan in place. Like, it's great to look at, but it's the steps to getting the things that are on the board that we also have to put in place, and just have the plan and set those goals more specifically than just like, oh, this is a pretty picture. Or often I'll see people, like, I've put a word up there saying, I want to feel more peace. Well, how do I want to do that? How do I want to have that in my day-to-day plan? Am I making sure I have time for it? Am I putting my phone away to feel more peace, or maybe to meditate or take a walk, and doing the things that actually bring those emotions into my life?
Dr. Borland, from a psychological perspective, some of the panelists here have mentioned how it can be kind of tricky to look to outside influences to kind of get that inspiration for the goals that we want to set. So what do you recommend when it comes to finding the inspiration or finding out what it is that you actually want your goal to be for people?
Yeah, I think it requires a little bit of soul searching. I think it's great if we find others that we can use as a source of motivation. But I think, as the other panelists have indicated, we have to monitor our own goals, use them as motivation, but not feel as though we have to meet their goals right away. Each one of us has to really look at ourselves and say, this is what I want to achieve, and how am I going to go about it? We talked about kind of the idea of mistakes, right? And I don't view this as a mistake. I think it's about embracing kind of the gray area for each one of us. And I think that's a big part of setting realistic goals, and how we approach, utilizing others in our lives to be that source of motivation.
Do you have some practical tips that you can share that might make goals easier to stick to for people?
Yeah, I think, again, we have to be very kind to ourselves. I think organization is really important. I think, I work with my patients a lot to create lists, and we recognize that there's nothing more gratifying than checking things off your list. Now, you may identify 10 things and only get to 3 of them. So are you recognizing, boy, I accomplished those 3, or those 7 that I didn't accomplish was a sense of failure? So we really have to focus on achievements, gratitude, looking at things from a sense of abundance as opposed to deficit.
I want to remind people we're talking about New Year's resolutions, so we do want to hear from you on that. If you want to give us a call, the number is 866-578-0903, and you can also email us at soi@ideastream.org. We have an email now in from Marvin. Marvin says, one thing to keep in mind if you have trouble with resolutions or any goal making is the possibility that you may have something like ADHD that gives you a very real handicap. It might be worth consulting a mental health professional. Thank you for that perspective, Marvin. And Dr. Borland, I'll return to you on that note there. Do you have tips for people who might be neurodivergent, or something that we should keep in mind and to prevent us from not being so hard on ourselves?
Yeah, I think it's really important, obviously, to remember that mental health services are always available, especially with a certain generation where neurodivergence and ADHD wasn't necessarily recognized. This generation has learned how to cope, and that's wonderful. But I think the recognition that, maybe there's something organic, actually, that's been going on here. And it's not that I'm somehow a failure. It's that there are obstacles that have been in my way. And I think, I have worked with several patients who, once they recognize that, have flourished because they're not so hard on themselves.
Go ahead,
Other
Katie.
thing, like, I do have ADHD, and I feel like, it's easy to recognize the challenges, but I also see how there's gifts in that, and my ability to hyper focus and do, ride my bike 14 hours a day, row 14 hours a day. That is part of having that, like that hyper fixation and hyper focus. So I think, my encouragement to anyone else who struggles with some of those challenges of having it is where is this a strength and gift, and where can I focus on applying those characteristics? You create systems to deal with all the other things, but there are places where someone with that can really thrive. And yeah, obviously everyone can't always be riding their bike 14 hours a day, myself included, but there's places for that. So,
Recognizing the strengths that might come in what other people see as a weakness.
right, exactly, yeah.
Damiana, you helped the girls in your organization come up with New Year's resolutions this year. What was that like?
Yeah, so this year we did a little different. We did wishes and wins. So we talked about how did I win this year, and the girls spoke about the ways that they won this year. And like I said, to meet them where they are, because to them, this is a big deal, and it is. And for them to celebrate that this year I was able to focus more in class. This year, my own daughter said, this year I was able to stand up for myself. And so that is a win. And so looking at how did I accomplish these goals that may be small to others but huge to me, and then what are my wishes for next year? So some of the wishes that they shared was, and we did the achievement cake. I'm not sure if people see it on social media, when you walk up and put the sticker or the candle in the cake. And so they were just like, this year I accomplished being able to get better at volleyball, or I wish that I get better at my math and my reading. And those are the challenges that they struggle with that they may not speak about. They may just be happening at school or at home, but how do I see that these are things that I'm holding myself accountable for and that I want to be better at? So it was amazing to see them, one of the young ladies who are usually quiet in our space, so this year I became more vocal. And she has been able to use her voice and see that they have maybe been a challenge for her or areas that she may not be as confident in, but able to celebrate that win. Because that one time on this Friday, I used my voice. And so that's how I'm winning in those spaces. So I think it's important to show them, even as little people, as young people, that they too can achieve goals and they too can set these expectations and rise to the occasion. And for them to see that, how to clap for themselves. And at the end of the achievement cake, everybody was clapping for each other. And that feels good to have somebody rooting for you and reassuring you. Like, okay, I am on the right path. This year I am going to affirm myself, but it feels good to have that community and that spaces where others are affirming you as well.
How did you come up with the idea for the achievement cake?
So we saw it all on social media. Of course, the girls were like, Miss Shana, can we eat the cake? And I'm like, yes, we can eat the cake. But after we eat the cake, before we eat the cake, we have to do. So we saw it on social media, and I've only seen adults do it and grown people. And I said, well, I want the girls to do it because I want them to celebrate it. So we had them pre-write it out on these little sticker papers, and they were practicing and like doing the whole thing of how they were going to go up and say it. But I saw it on social media, but I've only seen grown-ups doing it. And I wanted to provide that opportunity for my girls, for you to celebrate your wins, because making a cheer team was huge this year, or even making more friends was huge this year. Having a better relationship with my mom was huge this year. And so celebrating the wins, but also what am I wishing for to 2026 and how to remind myself to stay on that path.
Dr. Bowen, is that something that you find helpful in general, is taking a look at past successes when it comes to setting future goals?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have to recreate the wheel here. We have the tools available to us. Oftentimes we overlook them. And it's very easy. It's almost our default setting to go back and look at the negatives, right? And it's much harder to focus on the positives. You talked about kind of celebrating the wins. Oftentimes, at least within my clinical practice, there's this misconception that that is somehow egotistical. That if I celebrate those wins, if I pat myself on the back, that am I really deserving of that? Yes, you are, and that takes work.
Okay. We've got an email now from Pat in East Cleveland. Pat writes, while some multitasking is counterproductive, some can be helpful. While I listen to Sound of Ideas, thank you for listening, Pat, we appreciate it. Pat says, I knit or do easy chair yoga. Neither interferes with listening. Chair yoga works towards my fitness goals, and knitting helps me work towards the goal of finishing the projects I start. I also like being on James Clear's email list about habits. Thank you for that, Pat. And that brings me to my next question for Lauren. When we talk about habits, what are some habits that can support long-term change that you might suggest for your clients?
Well, I always like to start with their calendar and see how they're moving throughout the day. Is there time of distraction? Because often it's like, well, I'm so busy, I don't have time to add this new thing into my life. So I like to first pause, reflect, and celebrate, but then also identifying, like, okay, if I'm adding in a new habit, I have to find the time in my schedule, and then also making it smaller, a little more doable, so we can celebrate those wins along the way, because I think that's what kind of keeps us on that path and building the confidence to get to the bigger, the long-term goals if we're celebrating and acknowledging those little milestones.
Are there particular methods that you like for your clients when it comes to accountability and tracking that aspect of things?
There's apps out there. I think accountability partners, having mentorship, being in community of people that are doing the same thing. If you do have a fitness goal, like, are you getting into a class and being surrounded by people that have similar goals? So that way you're continuing on that. You have, if you fall off, can you phone, like, talk to your buddy and say, I've really been struggling, and they're going to pull you back in because they're doing it alongside of you. It's not just an easy path every day. When we have big goals and dreams, we're going to have those setbacks and have to get back on course, but it's having the community and the people that are going to encourage us to get back to it.
Ricky, let's talk about kindness now specifically. That's obviously the subject of your organization, Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere. When you see people showing up, maybe when you're having an event that is championing a particular act of kindness, like maybe serving lunches to a group or something like that, what is it that you see in people maybe coming for the first time? What kind of a reaction do you get?
I think shock, but also a sense of community. Like, hey, this is kind of cool. There's people that from the same mental thinking, but might be not look like me per se, right? So, like, I always say, like, kindness is a universal language. Like, you might not be able to speak it, might not be able to talk it, but you understand if someone's being nice or not, right? By a smile, by, acknowledgement, open up a door, things of that sort. So, like I said before, we're all going through something. So a lot of times, and Dr. probably can speak more to this, but a lot of times, people who are the saddest are the ones who are the most kind, because they know what it's like to need kindness and want kindness, and might not want people to feel the way they feel without receiving the kindness. So a lot of times the people that come to volunteers might themselves be struggling with something, but realizing that they still have something within themselves that they can give back. They don't have to be rich, they don't have to be famous. Like I said before, we're all dealing with something. Very, very heavy stuff. So if we can spread kindness, it gives us our own ability to say, hey, I matter. I can make a difference. I have hope because I can still have a place in this world. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see people. We actually have 7 marriages in 12 years of people who met at our events.
Wow.
A little known fact, because my mom has this quote. She goes, if you want to meet your spouse, go where you think they would be. So if you have like-minded people doing kindness, doing kind events, and that's where that person would be. We do have one divorce. It's not my fault, but yeah, we got you there. So yeah, it's just a community, if you will.
Well, I'd say the odds are pretty well in your favor.
I think so.
I think so. So what do you see in terms of engagement and participation in your kindness events? Is that something that's kind of maintained the status quo? Has there been a rise? Has there been a dip?
Huge
just lately?
rise. I just think, now with community more now than ever, we were speaking earlier about because of social media and because of the internet, we seem more connected, but yet we're more apart now than ever. So to be able to come together and actually take it offline, and actually be able to, touch and feel and share stories and have a sense of community of other people that are trying to be kind. We're through the roof. Actually, at our events, we're trying to find bigger things for people to do because we have way too many volunteers and we need a lot of time. But it's not it's not a bad thing, but it's, people want to help. People want to give back. People want to know that they can do something and be part of something bigger than just themselves.
Well, I do think that's something that I've seen just anecdotally. I feel like I have been seen people talking about being more kind as a New Year's resolution. So that's a resource for people if you're interested. Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere. You can participate in.
Maybe get married.
Or maybe get married. That's an act of kindness every day. As a newlywed? No, I'm just kidding. It's been very easy. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love my husband very much. Let's talk about fitness. That is something that is a big New Year's resolution for a lot of people. And Katie, I'll turn to you on this because a lot of people see fitness as difficult or overwhelming. There's also a lot of things at play here. There's diet culture, which can be really harmful and problematic. But it does seem to me, at least publicly, there's more of a focus on strength and fitness and health in that way. What do you think people can look towards to make it seem less overwhelming if that is a goal of theirs? Speaking as our endurance athlete on the
Yes,
panel.
and I will also say, I mean, just talking about kindness, my first bigger endurance challenge, there are people out there doing things in fitness they never thought they could do because it's an act of kindness, meaning they're doing it for a purpose bigger than themselves. So my endurance challenges have resulted in 50,000 people getting clean water, but no matter what cause.
Let's pause for a moment, though. That's a major milestone that your organization just hit. So I just want to give you a little clap
thank
on
you.
that. So
Thank you.
I saw you
Yes.
posting about that on social media, so congratulations.
It works. It like so, you know, whatever cause you care about, you can do a fitness, whether it's signing up for a race that's for that cause or just a DIY, your own personal fitness goal that you do with others, or you just, use social media for good in that way. So, finding some kind of inspiration that's bigger than yourself is highly motivating. So, for fitness, going back to that theme of how do we make this hard thing easier? Okay, so we're gonna just go back to sleep. I know it's like, okay, yeah, we all know sleep is important. Asking your body and putting extra tax toll on your body when you're running on empty and caffeine, it's a recipe for disaster. You're not gonna feel good long term. So when we're talking long term, if you get good sleep, chances are you will feel more likely, like, ask yourself to do anything in life, and good sleep will likely make it better. So, as an athlete, recovery happens, but just baseline energy, you need sleep. And when you get sleep and you feel like moving more, you'll probably feel like eating better. So it just creates this environment of wanting to move. And then other things, I sometimes do group fitness, and the gym I go to now, Tremont Athletic Club and the Foundry, are spaces that I walk in and I already feel like with the music, and maybe you even have your own special playlist, or finding classes that work for you. So, just really being intentional about finding something that works for you. I think that is a big part of this entire theme. Like, vision boards might work, they might not. This class might not work, or this may or may not work. I'm also very mindful that some people genuinely don't have the time to even go to the gym. And so my encouragement to people in that is that you can still make fitness a priority by, okay, so maybe you have 10 minutes at lunch, go for a walk a little bit faster, take the stairs. Every time you add a little bit of movement in your day, you're more likely to want to move. So sitting all the time makes you want to sit all the time. If I move in the morning, I'll probably feel like moving at night. So finding little ways, even with YouTube, you can find these 10-minute, 15-minute workouts. It doesn't need to be this, big, extensive plan. It could just be, there's 2 times a day, I know I could fit in 10 minutes, and I'll do little things like take the stairs instead of the elevator. And those are all wins. And those are putting it in one direction, and, that momentum will grow.
Something that I caught on to from our email from David earlier about the pull-up goal was David saying, now, if I need to pull myself up for some safety reason, I can do that. This is him after working up to do 1 pull-up to now being able to do 10 to 12. So personally speaking, I think sometimes that can be helpful if you think about your purpose for the goal, if we're talking specifically about strength and fitness and endurance. Like for you, your goal was to row the Atlantic Ocean because you were raising public awareness about clean water. So was that helpful for you in
Right.
taking all the steps?
I think it's so easy for me to be motivated for fitness because it is the way that I could see the world. It's the vehicle. I just hiked Mount Kilimanjaro, and seeing some of the most beautiful places on our planet because my body is able to. So even that, find a friend who might want to go on a hike and plan a trip. I mean, people do that with marathons. They do destination, or I mean, it doesn't need to be
Sure.
this bigger thing, but find a smaller scale and find a way to make it something fun. So but I do definitely, for my fitness, I do like to incorporate more strength and kind of balance that out with flexibility, mobility, and cardio. So it's a
Damiana, I want to ask you before we wrap up here, we've got about 30 seconds left for the conversation. In terms of self-esteem, which is something you focus on with the girls, what are some suggested potential resolutions people might be able to make?
Definitely start with self-affirmation. I am beautiful, I am kind, I am smart. And I tell the girls all the time, even if you don't believe it, what do you want to be? Do you want to be brilliant? Do you want to be brave? So being able to speak life into yourself, like Ricky said, no one knows you more than you. What are some things that you want to work on and be great at? But actually seeing it, if you got to write it down, if you got to stick it up, but being able to see these great things that you want to be.
Thank you so much. I want to thank our panel for being here. Dr. Adam Borland, clinical psychologist, Lauren Marks, life coach, Damiana Willis with Queen I Am, Ricky Smith with Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere, and Katie Spots, endurance athlete. Thank you so much for being on the panel today.
Thank you for having us.
If you want to have the last word in today's conversation, and we hope you do, you can email us at soi@ideastream.org or message us on Instagram @thesoundofideas. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I'm Stephanie Haney.